Hello everyone, and welcome to a new Bottled Sky devlog for the first month of 2023. As promised, I've travelled to Sweden to begin working on the game full-time at Spellcollectivate. It's taken me a week to travel and settle in, so I haven't had too much time to work on the game. I'm not one to take many pictures, but here is the Pokemon plane I flew on. Also, it appears that Sweden is sometimes missing textures. I have reported this bug to the devs, and hopefully it can be fixed at some point. I'd like to say it was a smooth trip, but there were some complications and I'm not sure I'll be able to stay for a full year like I planned, but hopefully I can figure those details out eventually. Anyway, moving on to the new features of Bottled Sky. Last video I mentioned an autocraft feature that I wanted to make an interface for. To briefly explain, the autocraft feature will, as the name suggests, automatically craft items. But more specifically, the player will get to choose what items get crafted and when. For example, to ensure you always have a repair kit available to you, you could set up an autocraft rule that says, craft one repair kit if inventory contains less than one repair kit. Something to note is that it won't craft anything if you don't already have the resources available in your inventory, so you don't just get free stuff. The point of this feature is to reduce the amount of times a player needs to halt their gameplay just to craft items that you might need frequently. Autocraft rules can be deleted by clicking the cross button, or disabled by clicking this button here if you decide that you might want to enable it again later. Anytime you make changes to a rule, then you need to save the changes. That was a conscious decision I made to ensure that a rule doesn't suddenly start accidentally crafting away all your resources as you're editing a rule. There are still a couple of things that I think would be useful that are missing right now. For example, I'd like to show a drop-down suggestion box when you're typing a recipe or item name. Right now, you need to know the exact spelling and capitalization of a recipe or item for this to work. With a suggestion box, that will help players find the item or recipe they're looking for if they're not quite sure what the full name is. Secondly, I want to have a context menu in the crafting screen that will let players choose a recipe and create an autocraft rule for the chosen recipe. Another feature I've added is this new panel to view more details about the items you collect. Every item will have a description that gives you some useful details about what it does and what it's used for. Every item will also have some flavor text, which isn't necessary to understand the game, but is more for storytelling and world building, or in this case, comedic effect. This description panel can be opened via clicking on the tab or using the context menu I talked about in the last video. The description panel can be closed manually by clicking on the tab again, but it will automatically close when you exit the inventory menu. Overall, not a hard feature to create, but dealing with transparency always adds an extra layer of complexity if I don't want everything overlapping and becoming impossible to read. For February, I want to get started on the ability to use and drop items. Dropping items will be done via the inventory menu, but for using items, I'm not yet certain how I want the controls for this to work. I always want to approach features like this with the mindset that I'd rather have the quantity of controls required to play to be kept at a minimum for accessibility reasons and for ease of learning, so I may end up not having controls for this at all. I might instead design items that are best used in an automated system like the autocraft feature. To complement this, I also want an auto-use feature that should function the same as the autocraft feature. For example, a player might have an auto-use rule that says, use one repair kit if % health is less than 50%. Before I start developing this feature, however, I'm going to design a bunch of potentially usable items and see if it makes sense in all cases to have it automated in some way. If not, then I will need at least one additional control to use items, but I'll probably still make the auto-use feature anyway. You'll find out what I will decide to go with in the next video. I'm excited to see how much I can get done now that I'm able to work on Bottled Sky full time. In related news, the artist has gotten sick somewhere during travel. Thankfully, I've been spared, but they've decided to remain isolated in their room at Spellcollectivate until they've recovered, and I won't have any art assets for the game yet. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Next month's video should have a lot more content. Leave a comment below the video if you have any thoughts about Bottled Sky. Subscribe and click the bell if you'd like to be notified about future videos. Thanks for watching, that's all for now, and I'll see you later.